So we've talked about creating an assignment. We've talked about, creating our classroom. Let's look at see what else we have in here under create. Okay. Quiz assignments. This is not the best one to use. When it first came out, it worked pretty well. But what happens is when you use the quiz assignment, it actually adds a little extra code in the Google form that it is using, and it can cause it to become hinky. Some people have found it works really great for them. I'm just telling you what I have found, what I have experienced, that this one doesn't always work 100% for me. So my way of creating a quiz assignment is what I recommend to people. It gives you a little more uh, power anyway over what you're doing, a little more control, instead of it just creating it for you right there on the fly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a quiz for my students, but I'm going to create it as just a regular assignment. So I click assignment and I'm going to put in here quiz. Please take the quiz. Okay, there we go. I put that in there. And now I am going to um, go into my Google Drive and I am going to get a link to a Google form that I've already created into a quiz. And we're going to walk through that just a little bit before we add it here to the assignment. And let me show you how I built this quiz. When we're not going to go through like how to add the images and all of that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the steps of making any Google form that you have to be a quiz. So right down here on the questions, I've already set this up, so I'm going to show you how to set it up in a second. When I click on the question, because I check mark the quiz, it shows me answer key down here. And you'll see that the 60-foot has the check mark by it already because I've already included that as my answer key. But if I wanted to change that, or if I knew that wasn't the correct answer, I click answer key and I choose the correct answer. And then I also can change the point value. I can put whatever point value I want in there. 49, 56, 22, whatever it might be, I can put that number in there, and then I just make sure that the answer is correct, and I click done. And then I move down to the next question. Now, a couple of these questions, first and last name, I didn't put an answer choice in there or a correct answer because that's going to identify them, their first and their last name. So all I need to do is to click on the questions that I'm actually putting point values to that are actually going to be a part of the quiz. Okay, do the same thing for the next one, and you'll see that I've already added the point value and all of that. So how did I get this? You get this by when you first open up your Google form, you go up here into the gear wheel, into the settings. Okay. And right here on the one that says quizzes, you turn on make as a quiz. And it's going to say, okay, now you're going to tell me which questions you want me to grade for you. That's what Google says. Right here, right underneath, one of the quiz options is the locked mode on Chromebooks. Now, if you know that all of your students have a Chromebook from us, from the district, and they're using them in class, you can turn on this locked mode, and it doesn't matter where they are. Doesn't matter if they're home, if they're in Hawaii, if they're right there in the classroom with you. If you turn it on, what happens is when they get to the quiz, it blocks everything else out. They can't get on the internet. They're in what's called kiosk mode. They're kind of just stuck in the quiz. Now, there is a little button at the top that says exit the quiz. Wait a minute, why are you telling me that? Because when they click that little button, they get a message on the screen that says, hey, all right, you can quit the quiz if you want to. Are you really sure you want to do that because you haven't turned this in? And when you come back to the quiz, I'm going to tell your teacher that you came back into the quiz. And they click OK, right? And then now they're out of the quiz. So when they go back into the quiz and you're like, hey, Misha, you didn't turn in your quiz. I click on it to get back into the quiz. All of a sudden, the teacher, me, I get an email that says that the student just accessed the quiz again. It's a red flag. Okay. So this is a really great little tool to have. Okay. That's up to you if you want to use it or not. Only thing is they can only use a Chromebook. They can't use a PC. They can't use a Mac. They can't use a tablet. They can't use a phone. They can't use anything but a Chromebook to take the quiz. If I try to get in on my Mac, it'll tell me that I don't have access. If I try to get in on my phone, the same thing, because it knows it has to be a Chromebook that the Isleta district put out for you. Okay, it has to be managed by us in order for this to work. All right, so down here, this is what the respondent can see. Now, maybe I want them to see what questions they missed, but maybe I don't want them to see the correct answers yet, because we're going to go over those together. And maybe I want them to see what the point value is, and I click save when I am finished. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and leave that as is. All right, so that's under quizzes. Then I go ahead and fill out the form. Okay, and then once I add all of those answer choices in here, I'm ready to send this form out. Send this form out. So if you look up here in the top right, you are going to see the word send, and it's going to be on a big purple button. That is what you're going to want to click on in order to send it out to your kids. So you click send, and you're going to click on the link, and you're going to copy this link. Copy. Now I'm going to go back into my Google Classroom, because here's my quiz, and I'm going to add. I'm not going to add it from my Google Drive. If I add it from my Google Drive, all my kids will have access to my quiz on the back end, and they're going to mess it up completely. I don't want that to happen. So don't ever add a Google form through your Google Drive. Instead, you want to add it as a link, because I just got that link. Remember the send link? I just got it. I click link, and I paste the link in there. Add link. And there it is. Now my Google form is in there. So all I do is click on it, and now they can fill out that form, which is really a quiz, because Google's going to grade it for me, and then I will be able to see it on the back end. Okay. So I'm going to go back into this form just really quickly, because I'm going to show you one more thing on this form. Now this is the edit right here. This is what the teacher sees when they create the form. Under respondents, you'll see that we had 27 people who have responded to my quiz. Right? I can look through all of this. It's a lot of information in there. Or I can click right here on this little green box with a plus sign in it. I'm going to click it, because it's going to open up the Google Sheets, and it put all the information that was from that Google form. Now it's all right here on this Google Sheet for me, a spreadsheet. I don't have to do anything. It did it all for me. And look right here. Right here, it says score, right? So here's all the scores of everybody who took my quiz. We have 10 out of 50. We have 20 out of 50. Ooh, I think I have some work ahead of me. I think I need to work on this assessment just a little bit. But now everything is in here. It's all here. I don't have to do anything, and I've got my scores that are already in here because Google graded it for me. And if I wanted to, I could actually look through what they answered, and then we could have a conversation of why they answered it that way. Maybe there's some misconceptions. But also the timestamp that's over here. If I look at the timestamp, I'm able to see when they turned that quiz in, when they hit the submit button, because maybe it was only a minute and a half after the classroom started. So that tells me they didn't do a whole lot. So this gives me a lot of information, and I didn't have to create it. All I had to do is push a button. Again, on my quiz, all I did was push this little green button right here, and it created my spreadsheet for me. And now I'm able to go in here and see the results of that. And that it'll do that for every Google form that you create. And again, I did not use the quiz, assign the quiz. I created this form ahead of time, and then I put it into my Google Classroom as a quiz, and it's right here. Okay. All right. And that's how we create a quiz in Google Classroom, the best way to create a quiz in Google Classroom.